What's up, everyone? Welcome to another day on FSI videos. So today we are looking at our '07 TRX450. It's actually the woman's quad, but so we got a new battery for this thing. We went to start it up and it would not start. So today we are going to be doing a troubleshooting on your TRX450 and some things to look for why it may not be starting or running right. Get this seat off. So, first thing you want to check is make sure your air filter isn't clogged with stuff if it's been sitting for a while, because maybe you had some animals store some crap in there. And I tell you what, we went to look, the one place I didn't put dryer sheets was in the dang air box. And I don't know why I didn't do it, but I left it in here so you guys could get a good look at what happened. That is no bueno. And unfortunately, we went through some of our air filters we have laying around, and none of them fit. So we had to go out, buy a new filter. They're out of spark plugs, but I'm pretty sure we just put a fresh one in here. So this is what we got going on. So we're gonna get the shop vac out. We're gonna suck this all up, clean it up. We'll get our new air filter on. And then the other things you want to look for is you want to make sure that you have good spark, you have good spark plug, and then make sure you got good fuel. If you're storing the vehicle for any time, you know, you'd be surprised sometimes how quick gas does go bad. So we are going to probably put some fresh fuel in this thing too, and we're going to make sure all our oil levels are good, both on the transmission and the engine side, since your TRX 450 does have separate engine or oil cases, one for the transmission and one for the actual engine. So we are going to check that real quick. We got the tires we got to air up. These are actually pretty new tires. We actually stole these off our Yamaha when we upgraded to the Razor 2s. These Razor 1s are still good tires, but I do recommend, if you are buying tires for your machine, for anything that's like off-roadish, as far as trails and all that, just spend the extra coin, get the Razor 2s. You get a lot more tread depth, which means they're going to last you a lot longer. So that was the only thing I had kind of complaint with these. You buy these tires and they are good, you know, tread depth, but as soon as they start wearing, you know, they kind of start looking bald to me, you know. So I just spend the extra coin, get the Razor 2s. You're gonna get a lot longer lifespan out of them, and those things do grip really well. So definitely recommend highly for the 450 and even for the 400s. So let's get this air box cleaned out, and then we're gonna see if we get this thing fired up. All right, guys, so we got our air filter on, and this actually happened before. It wasn't this time, and I'm sure there was a way better way to do this. You could probably drill that out, but what happened was this got really rusty back here, and we actually couldn't get that. What is that, a screw? Yeah. So we never even tried to get it out. We just bent this back right here, and that's what we did. It's kind of dumb that they got this support back here. I mean, that should be more than enough, but I guess for whatever reason they do have that there. I guess it does secure it a little bit better. The other thing was, with this no toil air filter, it had this little plug in the back, and normally your little canister that's inside there is supposed to come out of there, and there's definitely was not coming out with this there. So I don't know what the deal with that was. We just yanked this out. I would recommend, if you're gonna pull this out, to actually, yeah, because this should have to come out. I'd cut it. At least, if you can't cut it all the way whole, like in half, at least take off one of these fins so it actually pulls out a little easier. I think we tore just a smudge of our air filter, but I ain't too worried about it on this thing. This thing literally gets rode maybe once or twice a year. We happen to be getting snow tonight, so we're pretty pumped about that, and this is usually what pulls our sleds around and all that. So we're just getting dialed running and all that stuff, so kids can have some fun. So next thing we gotta do real quick is, I know the fuel's old in this thing, and on top of it, when I was trying to get this thing started, the only thing I had was 2-stroke fuel, so we gotta drain that out. So just so we get good fuel in there, and we're gonna put some 93 with some stable, so hopefully, you know, as the quad sits, the fuels remain good. So next time we fire it up, it should be good. Other thing we gotta do is we gotta put some I don't know if we have any, but we need to get some seafoam to kind of clean the carb out, because I know the carb has gunked up a little bit on us. So To kind of retrace our steps here, some of the things you want to look for when you are trying to get your quad to fire up if it's not starting is you want to kind of go with the symptoms. So the first thing is if you're cranking on it a lot, it's not firing at all, choke or no choke, and you don't smell any fuel, then you're going to probably want to look into that carburetor, because chances are maybe something got hung up, it just gunked up on you or something like that. So you want to take your, you want to take your carb apart, clean your jets out, make sure you could see through them and all that. Go through those steps. Obviously our first step was, because we smelt the fuel, but we did not, it wasn't starting all. We went straight to the air box, found out that it was completely clogged up. No way that thing was getting any amount of air. So as soon as we took that off, we sprayed some carb cleaner down. We had it actually to fire up a little bit. This quad's always been a little stubborn, but like I said, I think the carb is slightly gunked up, plus it's a Honda. So cold starter, cold-blooded. So next thing you want to look at, if stuff like that is working good for you, unfortunately you're probably going to want to go check the valves out, and you want to make sure that they're shimmed correctly and all that, and you're going to need a feeler gauge, and you want to go through those steps and make sure that's all good. Obviously once you get to that point, when you're about ready to pull your valve cover off, make sure you got spark. If you got spark, then you're good there. And check your valves, make sure that's all good. And then, if you got, I guess the last part would be compression. You'd want to test your compression. So hopefully, your problem doesn't dig you that far into the machine, and that hopefully it's just something simple like ours, ground squirrels and mice, But next year we'll definitely be making sure that we put mothballs and some dryer sheets around this thing. The dryer sheets seem like they help out in all the other areas, and the mothballs have helped us out with some of our other machines that we got stored. So we just need to take a little bit better care with this thing, and hopefully she'll just be ready to run for us next year when the snow hits. But let's get that fresh fuel in and see if this thing fires up. Alright, so we drained our old fuel, which we just happen to have these oddly shaped bottles laying around. So that came in handy. And actually, it worked really well. Especially because sometimes your fuel line, when you pull it off, the carb, it's kind of tight to get to, and sometimes you kind of like use a funnel to get it out, and awkwardly to your gas can. Tell you what, the bottles came in clutch. So that's good. So here we got our stable for storage. It says 1 ounce for 2.5 gallons, which I'm pretty sure our tanks on these things are about 2 gallons. So we're going to put 1 ounce of this in there, make sure we shake it up real good. Alright, so the other thing was that we actually use this for our air filter, and honestly it doesn't matter to me. The spray on is pretty easy. You still want to make sure you kind of rub it in a little bit, make sure it's even. I tend to use this more often than none. But the other thing I recommend is get yourself a pair. I know they give you that one glove with it usually, but make sure you get yourself some nice, latex gloves, Gorilla gloves, something like that, to where you can, when you're doing this, just keep your hands clean. You know what I mean? So we're gonna pour this in, shake it up, and we're gonna see if this thing fires up. All right, so bad news. We got it running. We thought it was running all right, and we ran it down the road, and pretty sure what's happening is our float might be sticking, maybe a little bit. Something, but we're not getting enough fuel at all. It doesn't want to idle, which was fine, because I could have just feathered it with the gas a little bit, but when I was ripping it down the road, it did not seem happy when I was giving it full throttle. So we need to see what's going on, whether our main jet's clogged up a little bit, our pilot's gunked up, or the whole carb's gunked up. But we got to get that cleaned up, and I'm hoping that's all it is. I hope we're not getting into the valves at all, because we are definitely not doing that today. So let's try to get this thing running so we can pull some kids around. Alright guys, so not quite sure if you have to remove the gas tank. Alright guys, not sure if you have to remove the gas tank, but we are going to get a better look at what's actually going on, because we haven't actually taken this thing apart before too much. The quad's actually been pretty good to us. So anyways, these just pop off. They're just a push-on style. So we popped those off, which allowed us to get to these straps back here. If you can see those right there. We popped those off, and then we undid our screws up here. We undid our screws here, which allows you to get it back to the screw here that actually goes on the gas tank grommet or whatever. This side's a little tighter to pull back to use our T-handle, so we actually had to use one of our small ratchets, but they worked out pretty good. Then same thing on this side, and now we're going to pull the tank off and see what we're looking at. So judging on how everything looks here, I'm guessing I never did change the spark plug in this thing, which is very, well, I don't know, maybe I got to it up there. I don't know. Chances are slim that I've ever changed the spark plug in this thing. So that's something for us to look at. The other thing, it actually looks like the carb's set up pretty nice on this machine, pulling it out. So what I'm seeing is, hopefully, if we undo this bracket right here, and we do the brackets, the hose clamps or whatever down there, and then probably just unpop a couple things here, hopefully that carb just wants to pull right out. And since our cables are right here, it should be nice to kind of just lay here and do what we need to do and then plop it back in. The LTR was really tight on their throttle body. It didn't let us quite do that. And the YFZs are horrible because they actually are underneath like a brace. So they're also a pain to get out. So hoping that maybe the Honda is the better route on pulling carbs. But we're going to get at it. So crazy easy. I mean, we're talking like a couple minutes. Literally undid that. Undid this one right there. And this had so much flex to it here that allowed us to pull it all the way back. And man, we're in the carb, so I might have to go take a run and put a spark plug in this thing. Alright guys, so we couldn't fix it, so we got our head mechanic on the job here. He's just kind of scoping out my tools. Pretty mad that it's Craftsman. He's probably just gonna walk away from the job. He only works with Snap-on. Alright, so we got the carb all back together, we cleaned it, and honestly it didn't look bad, but we did clean out, you know, our pilot, our main. We make sure I cleaned out all our passages. And as we were cleaning out our passages, I managed to spray myself directly in the eye with some carb cleaner. And I tell you what, I can't wait to never do that again, because that was no bueno. But we got our carb cleaned out. We got a fresh spark plug. Thankfully, Beanie Honda hooked us up. And, you know, honestly, I don't know if it's not that it looks horrible, but the fact that it's all corroded just shows its age. And I don't know, was that the issue? Maybe not, but we got it all back together, and it kind of seemed like it was still not running great. So we actually took it out and we started ripping it around, and it still wasn't even idling. And it seemed like once it warmed up, I mean, this thing works great. Like I should be able to fire it up right now. Yeah. Okay, she'll. So I still don't think she's jetted 100% correctly. She's still got a little backfire on the D, you know, on the throttle when you pump it like that. Actually runs cleaner when you're actually ripping it around, but like revving it in spot, it's got a little pop on it, which usually means you're running a little lean. We actually got a Honda guy. He's rebuilt plenty of these motors, and he kind of really knows these things in and out. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a second video for sure, and it's gonna be us checking the valves on this to kind of help you guys, show you what needs to be done. This is just kind of like your basic troubleshoot video, so I hope it helped between making sure you don't have mice, building a nest in your airbox, cleaning your carb, and also freaking just new spark plug. You know, that was the gist of it. So we got lucky, runs good. We're gonna pull the kid around, you know, on the sled tonight and tomorrow hopefully. But yeah, pretty happy. This machine's still stock. I mean, never been rebuilt yet, so it's pretty impressive for an 07. And actually, I guess our LTR is an 07 too, and that thing's never been rebuilt either. So just my Yamaha. What's that tell you? That's still my favorite quad, so is what it is. So anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you hit that like, send a nice comment. Seems like you guys really enjoy these type of videos as far as with the four-wheelers and kind of troubleshooting and all that. So I hope that helps you with your Honda or whatever you're working on, and we'll see you later.